I had a dream as a kid over and over and over again. And this dream was really interesting. So it was as if I was pushing up through the dirt, and then all of a sudden I was in this interesting weird honeycomb shape that really made me feel weird, like kind of sick. And then I would see myself behind a couch, and I would wake up. And this first part, this crawling through the dirt, as I was out in the middle of ceremony a few days ago, there was I believe it was a cicada perhaps, that was on the ground. And so I stopped over, to thank it for its life and, see if it had any wisdom for me. As, we are connected to all things in the middle of ceremony. And I don't remember exactly what it told me. But for a moment, I began to feel bad for it, thinking like, oh, what a short life, you have like, and I felt, this sadness for it. And then immediately understood what I was doing. Why would I send sadness? Why would that have to be a sad thing for such a short life? Why would that have to be? And realized that I had been, creating this judgment around something that, why would I send a low vibration to anything ever when we are told to be thankful for everything, to have the joy? And so then I was, asking it, like, if you're only here for however long you're here for, a few days or something like this, whatever it is. It was showing me the amount of consciousness, like that's how quickly that level of consciousness can evolve, that you don't need much time in those levels. And so at that moment when it is showing me this, I remembered myself, and it told me, you've gone through this too, like this was you at one point. And I understood that dream for the first time in my life. And I knew it was me this whole time, but I didn't know it was me as that. But I knew it was me as that. You know what I mean? When you know deeper and you understand, there's deeper understanding. And what's interesting is that when I went over and I talked to this cicada, I asked, like, do you want me to do something special for you? Like, do you want me to put you off in the grass or something like that? And he said, no, if you do that, you'll forget about me. I said, okay. And so I kind of, left at that point and left it there. And it wasn't until I came back around the second time, when I had completely forgotten about it, that it gave me this information. And so when we listen every single second of every single minute of every single day, and we ask and we ask and we ask, we will be guided to where it is that we must go. And when we deny ourselves, when we tell ourselves no, when we mean yes and yes, when we mean no, then it's very harmful. Because then people around us begin basing their lives off of our lies. And we don't even know we've been telling them. I mean, we kind of do, but we don't want to admit that because it would be uncomfortable. And getting out of that comfortable feeling sometimes isn't very fun or funny or joyful, but there is a process that happens when you do this. I know for myself, when I began truly deeply working on myself regularly, as the job, the hypnotherapist, what I'm doing for my clients, I was doing for myself. And so you would see, these different, situations coming through on the regular, and then, they would shift and change. And what I recognized was that the patterns are what is present, and the patterns are what is needed. And so you begin to shift at different stages, and what you needed back then you don't need anymore. And you did, though. You absolutely did. And what you gained from that, you gained something that you needed now. Whether that be a connection, a conversation, a bit of knowledge, something you learned from the experience. And so we look at these things and we could look at them in a couple of ways. We could look at it and we'd say, oh, I failed because I'm still not doing that thing. But is it truly a success to start and do one thing and continue to do it forever? And that's all that you get to experience in this life? Is that really successful? I would say, successful people get to try all sorts and kinds of things. And it is through their failures that they go towards their successes, because they stop hiding and they allow themselves to shine and do what it is that they really want to do, with no excuses anymore. But to get to this point, there's all that unprogramming that has to come along, that we chose for ourselves at a very young age. And you'd say, oh, we chose for ourselves. No, we did though, but because we came here and we wanted to learn certain things. Now, the other day there was this wonderful video, and this woman had this really good lesson, and one of the things that came through when she had an NDE was that if she would have had someone loving her truly when she was little, she would have always been seeking that outside of herself, and she would have never have had to find it within herself. And you could look at something like that and think, oh, what a tragedy, and you could feel sorry for it, just like I felt sorry for that bug for a minute, and then I realized what I was doing. Why would I do something like that? Why would I send some low vibrational thought and frequency to something that is not helping them, that is adding to the energy that they're in? Perhaps, or perhaps they're not in that energy because they're an enlightened being and they understand that everything works for them, and it always has and always will be. And sometimes we think, well, why would I be thankful for that thing? But everything serves purpose, and sometimes we learn things, and sometimes the things that we need to be thankful for is that we learned even deeper, once again, here we go again, that we should have been trusting ourselves. I trust myself, right? Do you understand? Because you knew that you knew that you knew that you knew, and when you wanted to stay comfortable, even though it wasn't comfortable in that situation, you stayed because it was comfortable. And sometimes the things that we're asked to do don't make any sense. And sometimes maybe we don't even want to do them. Like, what? I have to go, and I have to go to this event, but I don't want to. But I have to go out, and I'm going to meet these people. Well, that sounds wonderful. Oh, but okay, I'll go. Of course I'll go. It's going to be wonderful. Of course it's going to be wonderful. But maybe we didn't really, really want to, but we're told that we need to go and do something. And when we do it, then we understand why. And when we don't, when we talk ourselves out of this thing, this is our whole life. This is what we do. We talk ourselves into things, and we talk ourselves out of things. On a daily basis, we talk ourselves into continuing the same day again tomorrow as we had yesterday and the day before and the day before that one. Or we can talk ourselves into having a different day every single day and meeting new people and getting out there and adventure and living our life while we're here, or doing whatever it is that we are wanting to do. Maybe we're in hermit mode right now, and maybe we need to just be alone and meditate and sit by a river. Or go and travel the country. Maybe your feet need to be here, there, and everywhere, because you are gathering information and you are planting seeds everywhere that you are going. It really just depends on the person, and there's no wrong answer for this. This is the thing. Any of the judgmental criticisms that would come from saying, well, this guy's over here doing this and he should be over here doing that, is a self-imposed judgment, a critical judgment of the self, of somewhere where you are not stepping in fully, somewhere where you are still living in the matrix, and you have forgotten that we're in a spiritual world, and I know it does not appear that way. It appears so totally, completely 3D, but if you're here listening, you know, you understand. There's a deeper understanding that there's more to this than what you see out there, and that it's not the material world, because you could get bogged down in that really quickly. There's many people that I know that have amassed a lot. And then they will tell you later, man, I was happier. I was happier before. Because now there's all this fear of losing it. But you know what, I got to tell you, before there was the fear of not getting it, there's always been the fear. And whatever it is that we feed, we get it. And so if we fear it's going to be taken away, you're right, it is. But there are things that we have to go through, things that we have to learn. And sometimes that learning comes in harder ways than what we could have imagined. And there's completely different outcomes, because when you remember, this is a spiritual dimension and it is only that. I know it doesn't seem like it. I know that you believe that that hand that's in front of you, perhaps, or perhaps you know, is solid matter, and therefore how it looks today, it's going to look just like that tomorrow. But that's your belief, and this is why it is so. There's nothing truly that is actually solid. There's nothing. And so things can change just like this. I've seen it. I've experienced it. I've witnessed it. It's happened. Maybe sometimes that belief happens slowly. Maybe it happens over a couple of days instead of instantly. And it could be totally discounted. Even though it is not, it is still because of the belief that is present. And we can go our entire life not knowing this deeply enough. Maybe we know it, but we don't know it. And if we don't know it, then we can't be living it, because we don't truly believe and align with it. And if we don't truly believe and align with it, then we are suffering in some way. Because we could be having wonderful, pleasurable experiences in this life, and we are choosing for ourselves not to, every single second. But it is through our disbelief that all suffering comes. Now, I understand as well that we need to go down into the roots. Yeah, we need to go down so deep, and that we chose some of these things for ourselves that are the hardest thing that you could possibly imagine, that you feel completely and totally alone in. And you chose it to be this way so that it was hard. So it was so hard. So that when you did do it, when you overcame it, when you understood, when you remembered, and all forgiveness was completed, followed by remorse. Anything less than that isn't happening. How are you going to get to a place of total spiritual upliftment without having a period of inner cleansing of the old systems and of the old beliefs? It's impossible. It's apart from flashes of insight that come down with divine inspiration at necessary and needed times to give hope and spark interest. But there's more teachings that come along. You know, when I was little, I've told you guys this before, but I think it's interesting how little I was in the understanding that was there. About 4 years old, running around the church basement, booking it over to the lady who's pinning the stuff up on the bulletin board, sitting on her lap, looking straight in her eyes and saying, you know, people without Jesus really suffer. And then standing up and running around and playing with the kids, because that's what I did. But I knew even then, it is true. And I knew even then, and I had faith, and I'm thankful to the church for that, because what they told me, I believed. And they told me, where two or more of you come together, there I'm with you, and basically, pray for whatever it is that you want, and you'll have it. And so I believed that, and so just like that, it wouldn't matter what it was, Because of the faith, I thought at that time it was because, you know, I can't even, there's so many, I didn't understand that that's why. I didn't understand that that was the result of faith. Like, I didn't understand faith on that level. I had it, but I didn't understand, because I didn't doubt. I was told something, and so it was like, well, this is obviously how I was told this. I know this. And so that was the result. But the only time that the manifestations don't come to fruition in your life is when that doubt. You're supposed to spit it out, get it out. It is the control that the fear-based energies, those low vibrational forms, within us. Now, these fear-based things, they can hide, and we don't even know that they're there. We think, oh, we've done all the work, we've done this, we've done that, and we're cool, and then it'll pop up in some area, and it's not because we didn't have that total success before. No, it's because now we're ready to work on this, and it's never ending. There's never ends. It never ends. How boring would that be if it did? What would we then do? Then what? But we can have all the insight, and we can live in the proper way, and we can still notice these little bits, and as we change them within us, then they don't reflect back to us in the outer world. But the shinier we get, the more of a mirror we become. And they will say it is about us, and it is not. Because we become the mirror, the true mirror. I've seen the projections happen real time. Oh, you did this and this happened. And I go, Let's take that feeling. How does that feel? Oh, okay. Let's follow that back. Where does that come from? Ooh, childhood. Okay, what's going on there? Okay, now, how does the present issue bother you? Oh, it doesn't bother you at all. But we will take these unhealed parts of ourselves and we will throw them on other people, and we will blame and say, you did this to me. But it is not. Nobody can do anything to you. It is your reaction to it. It is how you respond, react. When you can calmly sit there and know without a shadow of a doubt, that's not true. Then it will not affect you. But when you cannot do that, there's no controlling of anything of the situation. It could get very out of hand. And what results? People who are hurt, people who are being hurtful, rather than someone who sits and listens and says, oh, I understand how you feel. And relay back to them what it is that they said to you, so that you can make sure that you're understanding them clearly and make sure that it's correct. And then lovingly and gently uplift them with your words and give them life. When we give life to things, life will be given to us. I know I bring this up often, but when Christ cursed the fig tree and it withered to its roots the next day, this is a good example of the power in your words. Now, do your words leave people depressed and depleted, or happy, joyous, and uplifted? This is a consideration. This is what you bring to the world. This is the only consideration that you need to have. Do your words uplift and bring joy to people, or do they depress and deplete them? If they depress and deplete them, then you are not bringing life. You are bringing destruction. You are bringing chaotic energies, and this is what you will reap. But if you are bringing life, what a wonderful gift you have been to the world and will continue to be. And if you're doing a bit of both, now with this consideration, I'll bet you're going to be doing more. And every day by day, this is the work. Am I bringing life or destruction with my words? Are people feeling uplifted, or are they feeling depleted? Every day in every way, we are better together. I love you all so very much. Thank you guys for tuning in today, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.